I shouldn't be here, really, you know. I'm so frightened, you know. Go on, start now.
We'll start. Well, we're very glad that you are here. Thank you so much for coming. I know that you don't like interviews much, so we'll make sure this is a conversation, not an interview.
Tonight, I think.
No, it's fine. You've got your lapel mic on your...
All right, thank you very much.
We can hear you.
All right.
Can everyone hear us?
You can hear me? It's all rubbish anyway. Go on.
Well, it's a great pleasure to have you here, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should obviously start off with Harry Potter and Dumbledore, because that's what you're most well known for nowadays.
Yeah.
And when you took on that role of Dumbledore, did you feel great pressure in replacing Richard Harris, who, of course, died after the first two films?
No, I knew Richard. I knew him quite well. I used to knock around with him, and of course, when he died, in his second year of Harry Potter, wasn't it? Yeah. They rang me up, and I jumped at it. I didn't have to think at all. I was quite happy, and so I just pretended I knew him quite well, and I copied him a bit, and then I turned up at the studios and did it. That's all.
So you
not quite as simple as that.
You didn't have to audition for the role, they just
No, I didn't. No, they let me do it. And my first entrance as Dumbledore, I went up a staircase and I ran up. And the director came up and he said, "You mustn't do that." I said, "What?" He said, "Run up." I said, "Well, I want to run up." And he said, "No, our other actor didn't run up." So I said, "Well, I'm going to run up." So I ran up. And then he never spoke to me again.
Do you ever have to audition for roles anymore, or do you always get approached?
No, I've been very lucky. I don't think I've ever auditioned for a part. I'm telling you the truth. I can't look back at my long, 200-year journey. I never had to audition. I did audition once for Sir Lawrence. And I was 20-something, very young, and I didn't know who he was. And he said to me, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Richard III." And anyway, he said, "Go back to the end of the room and start the speech." And I went back, and I got to the end of the room. I was shaking with fear, and I put my hand round the column and spun round, terrified, and I said, "Was ever woman in this nature wooed?" And with that, of course, I cut my hand open on the pole. This was a nail there, and Olivier came running down to me. He said, "Oh God, quick, what's happened?" I said, "It doesn't matter." He said, and he held me like that, and he gave me a hanky, and he said, "Go home, that's serious." I said, "It's not serious, is it? It's just cut a bit." And so he said, "No, go home, I want you to go home." He said, "I've got to go anyway." So I went home, and 2 days later, I got a phone call offering me a job. So
that's the way to do it.
And I was there for 3.5 years with him.
Well, of course, Sir Laurence Olivier was one of your great mentors, Ralph Richardson as well.
Yeah.
What was it like working with them?
I loved them all. They're great. You know, after I'd been with Olivier for 3.5 years, I asked for an appointment with him. And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want to know if I can have bigger parts." And he said, "What, you want me to sack other actors to give you a part?" And I said, no, he was just mucking about, he wasn't serious. Anyway, within 2 weeks, he'd got me a series or a time at the theatre in the Midlands. I can't remember what it's called, but I stayed there another year. So he was very kind to me. I was very happy.
Let's go back to Dumbledore. Of course, when you took on the role, everyone noticed quite a change in the character, from a wise, wispy old man to a more assertive figure that you played.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious change on your part?
Not really. You read a script, and the script rings bells in your head, and you make up dreams about what you've just read. And so when I went on to do Dumbledore, I knew how to play him. I can't tell you how, but you get something inside you that tells you what you're going to do from a script. The script informs you of the process, sort of. Good ones, bad ones don't. So it informed me of something, and I went on that stage for my first performance, and no one said that was bad. No one said that was good either. And on I went, and I was there for the rest of 6 years, more than 6 years.
Were there other changes to the character that you tried to make?
No, there was one quite funny one, which I threatened to make him gay. No, what's her name, who wrote Harry Potter, told me, she told me that Dumbledore was gay. And she just decided that day that he was gay. You know, we'd been on for about 3 years, and so I started all that sort of stuff on the set, you know. And the director came running over to me and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "The woman who wrote this play told me I was gay." He said, "No, she didn't." I said, "Yes, she did." So she was there that day, and he asked her, and she's only mucking about. But she did want Dumbledore to end up as being gay, but that's a true bit. But I didn't play gay. I just played what I am now, you know. But that bit, you know, made me laugh a bit sometimes. Oh, hello. Don't.
But she didn't tell you in advance everything about the character. You had to learn as you were.
No, never told me a thing. Never spoke to me about the character. I mean, I must have been doing all right, because she always spoke to me and was a nice girl and a nice woman. And I never had any problems at all.
How much of the rest of the story were you told in advance before it all came out? Did you know that Snape was going to turn out to be good all along?
No, they made that up as they went along, didn't they? I mean, they gave you a script that you know will last, you know, that year, that 6 months, whatever the shoot was, but the next year's script would be different. You just read that. So you didn't know in advance what was happening.
So you were learning, like all of us as fans, as you went along?
I was learning what?
You were just learning about the story as things went along?
Yes, you just learn the story as you go along, and then in the end they decided to kill me. And I can't say I blame them. And so they killed me in the last, one before the last, wasn't it? He pushed me off a mountain. You know that bugger, what's his name? He died a few weeks ago. He was my best friend. What's his name?
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman had to kill me, throw me off the side of the mountain. That's what he did. And that's how we ended it. But I came back as a dead man the following year, when I had to walk along with Daniel Radcliffe, and he's holding my hand. Remember that bit?
I do.
Yeah, I'm floating. It was my best part.
There's a well-known story of you and Alan Rickman playing a prank on Daniel Radcliffe by putting a fart machine in his sleeping... Playing a prank.
A parrot?
A prank.
A prank?
No, a joke. A practical joke.
Yeah, a joke.
You put a fart machine in his sleeping bag on the set.
Yeah, we had to... the director told me that I got to hide... Daniel wanted to sleep next to a beautiful girl.
Next to or with?
Huh?
Next to or with?
Anyway, he picked out... Daniel picked out the beautiful girl on the other side of the set, so we had 500 girls in there that night, and boys, and because Daniel wanted her to be in the sleeping bag next to his. You see. So that was all arranged. But then the director worked out a little thing. He pushed up into the sleeping bag some sort of he slid into the sleeping bag a fart machine, so that when Daniel got into it and lay down, it went, and the girl heard that and didn't want to be next to him anymore. So he ruined his chance there. Was that what you asked me in the first place?
It was.
Yeah, right.
Have you been involved in any other pranks and practical jokes on set?
Me?
Yeah.
All my life. I've never taken... No, I've been an immense number of the time. I've been in plays for the past 52 years. Long time, isn't it? And I've never stopped mucking about. you know, or trying to be funny. So I've been in loads of things where sometimes if you're in a play for a year in the West End, that's real bad, and it nearly killed me. It's boredom, deep boredom, having to do a play for 12 months, 8 times a week, whatever it is. And so I used to, most actors can get away in the first 3 months, can't they? They can now, you just say, I can't carry on with this. But in those days, I did a year, and what was your question?
What kind of practical jokes did you get up to?
Oh, well, you can't help but practical jokes when you're that bored, you know, and trying to do a play. You've got to do your best in front of the audience because they paid money to see it, but there are little elements of boredom that you can slide in without them knowing. You know, I don't know, bits of paper, dirty words, all that sort of stuff. Is that all right? I'm sitting here, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Do you have any favourite quotes from Albus, Percival, Wulfric, Brian, Dumbledore?
Say again. Do I have any quotes?
Any favourite quotes? Any favourite lines that you said?
Of Dumbledore?
Yeah.
Not really. As soon as I did Harry Potter, I think I was in it for 8 years, and immediately it finished about, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Everything I've forgotten. Boom, it's gone. So I wish I could remember, but I can't.
Did you ever come off the set after a long day of filming, get home and start waving around a stick and try and unlock your front door or clean your glasses or have the washing up done?
No, I never
magic?
did that, for God's sake. I'll tell you a secret. Daniel Radcliffe and he was very young, and we used to go round, when no one's looking, round the back of the set and smoke. And he was, how old would he have been? 14, 15? So that was a big secret. So that's a big memory of Harry Potter. The smoking around the corner. Am I doing all right?
Of course, we've got the new film coming out, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the new series of films. Yeah. Are we going to see you making an appearance in any of them?
No, they wouldn't let people who've been in Harry Potter in that, would they?
No overlap at all?
No.
No?
No, I don't know. They've stopped that completely. They're all completely different people, aren't they? I think so. I'm sure. No, there's no one in that who was in the original one.
Okay. But you do like working with J.K. Rowling and her books. You were also starring in The Casual Vacancy.
Yes, she wrote Casual Vacancy, that's right.
Is there something about her writing that you particularly like and that makes her easy to work with?
I just think she's brilliant with the stuff she writes. It's really clever stuff, isn't it? And so I mean, it's not right why you do a play. I didn't do Harry Potter because she wrote it. I did Harry Potter because I wanted the money. And then she wrote the other play, what was it called?
The Casual Vacancy.
Casual Vacancy, and I did that for the money as well. But everything you do has something to do with how much you're getting for it. Most actors ask how much am I going to get, because that's quite important. And then they worry about the quality of the writing. But her quality is good, isn't it? So, no, it's as simple as that.
I'm glad it's not just Oxford students who are concerned about money and getting high-paid jobs when they graduate.
Well, they will when they graduate, yes, I'm sure they will. They'll all get a lot of money.
Of course, it's not just J.K. Rowling that you've worked with. You've been in some phenomenal roles, whether it's Dad's Army or Othello, King Lear, The Caretaker, Brideshead Revisited. Is there a favourite character that you've played throughout your career?
I did Galileo at the National, which I loved. It was the hardest part I've ever played, and it was a big hit. And I played the main principal role, and I'll never forget it. The most important thing in my life, really. I hit the button, you know, when you read a script and you're doing a play, and I just knew this is for me. And so, probably the only time in my life, and I loved it, and it ran for a long time in the National, and I did well out of it, got a little work out of it, and it sticks. It's the most important thing I can remember, really.
Are there any roles that you turned down which you now regret?
No, I never turn down a role. I always take it. But of course, I don't get offered many now, you see. You're supposed to laugh now.
Of course, you were suggested at one point for the role of James Bond.
I went up, 10 of us went to an office in London, the 10 actors, and we all sat round in a circle, and with Cubby Broccoli, you know him? He's the James...
Not personally.
Well, he called us up one by one. We didn't know what this was all about. And I got up there and he said, "Do you know what this is about?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I've just been stung by a model." That meant he'd been stung by an actor who, I can't remember the actor's name, can you?
Who ended up getting the role?
Who didn't get the role. He played for him and then was sacked. And we were asked to take over from him. And I said, "Well, I can't take over from him." He said, Why not? It's a great role." I said, "Yeah, but I've got no hair. I've got a double chin, a fat gut, and I don't look like him at all." He said, "Well, we can alter all that, you know." So I didn't get it, but that was James Bond. And in fact, none of us got it. One boy in the end got it, and then they cancelled it, gave him £12,000 as a tip, and he was out of it. So they got some other actor in to play it who's now famous. What do you know his name?
Wasn't it George Lazenby?
No, this was George Lazenby, the one that was
they
sacked.
got rid of. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you understand what I said? Yeah.
But do you wish that you played James Bond?
No.
No?
I couldn't be James Bond. It would just be like a laugh, wouldn't it? Be like a comedy show. No, I wouldn't want to do it.
Justin Bieber has got lots of fans who call themselves Beliebers, and without wanting too many Harry Potter puns to slither into our conversation here, do you have a Dumbledore's army of fans?
Of what?
Of fans.
I can't hear properly.
Do you have a Dumbledore's army of fans?
Well, I get stopped in the street by Dumbledore fans. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear. Kids stop you. You get a bit annoyed when adults talk to you in the street, but when kids stop you and say, "Are you Dumbledore?" I say, "Yeah," they love it. And then you write them a letter and do something like that. I love that. I like kids liking Harry Potter. It's not really for adults, really, is it?
Do you have adults coming up to you as well and asking for you?
Yeah, sometimes they come up and ask you, tell you they thought you were brilliant in Harry Potter. You know they're lying, of course, so you just carry on. No, I do like it.
You said last year that you were giving up theatre work due to difficulty in remembering your...
Well, I can't remember lines anymore. I've had a terrible... It's been like that for about 6 or 7 years now. I can't remember lines. I read the script, but they won't go in. So I can't do stage anymore, and I miss it terribly. Except I do a bit in Dublin sometimes with a friend of mine, not very long things. But so now I have an earpiece, electric earpiece. This is for drama, you know, films and that. Electric earpiece with a little cord, and no one can see it. And you have a girl or a man in the wings who give you the whole lines and everything. So she's sitting there reading the script on a loudspeaker to you, and you can hear it. And so it makes life much easier. The audience never know. What do you think of that? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Anyone could be an actor then.
Yeah. It's very American. A lot of American actors have that. They can't be bothered to learn the lines, so they have it coming through a loudspeaker. I know Johnny Depp, who I know well, told me that he's never learnt lines. He has the plug and the person in the wings, and that's the way he gets it. He prefers it that way.
That must have been a very difficult decision, though, having acted your whole life, to say, theatre acting, I can no longer do it anymore.
Yeah, it makes me cry, because I miss it so much. I've done over 40, 30, 20, over 25 plays in the West End, in public theatres, and I've been at the National and RSC Stratford all my life, and I miss it so badly, it makes me cry. But there's nothing I can do about it, so I have to do the old, in the ear.
So does that mean you'll just be carrying on with TV work and film work?
Yeah, I get offered it, film work and TV, it's quite nice, So I keep busy with it.
That won't be stopping anytime soon?
No. Voiceovers I do a lot of. Radio voiceovers.
Well, before we open up to the audience, of course, we have to talk about your crowning achievement, which, of course, was having Gambon Corner named after you on the Top Gear racetrack.
Top Gear, yeah. Well, I'm a top man on that, you know. And, I've known Jeremy for years and his two mates, and I love doing that. And now they've taken it all away from him. I can't watch it anymore. I can't watch Top Gear anymore.
Have you seen the new
one?
You've not watched it at all?
No, I wouldn't watch it. But I like him so much. But he used to tell me when to smash the car into walls and how to do it in order to raise a bit of fun, you know. I'm quite a good driver, you know.
So if they asked you back and they said, come and do Gambon Corner one more time...
I'd do it again, yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If I was asked, I'd certainly love to do it.
Great, thank you. We're going to open up to questions from the audience. And we will start with the question from the gentleman on the front row.
You appeared on Doctor Who a few years ago for the Christmas special.
Say again, sorry.
You appeared on Doctor Who for the Christmas special a few years ago. How did you find the experience, and would you have ever considered playing the Doctor yourself?
This was Doctor Who, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, I did appear on it a year ago. And what did you want to know?
Just how did you find the experience?
Oh, well, I love anything that, any job I get offered, like Doctor Who, Christ, I'd grab it straight away. I wasn't was I good as Doctor Who? I don't remember.
It was a great episode. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, yes, anything, so if you hear any Doctor Who's going, I'm the one for them.
Thank you. We'll go to the question from the gentleman on the second row, just over here.
Thank you very much for your talk. I was wondering if you might be interested in reprising your role as the Prime Minister in a potential sequel to Ali G in the House.
Oh, that was one of my best ever performances, I think. Ali G in the House. What was I?
You were the Prime Minister.
I was the Prime Minister in that one. It was an enormous hit, and I never stopped working after it. Anyway, if you believe that, you believe anything. Any more?
I will go to the question towards the back of the chamber, the member in the short sleeve shirt. Yeah, you sir.
Bloody hearing is terrible.
One of the parts I really enjoyed watching you in was dancing at Lunasa, and it made it clear that you haven't forgotten your Irish roots. I wonder, could you say something about what it's like living as an actor with an Irish background in the UK?
Oh, me being an Irish actor? Yeah. Well, I was born in Dublin and came to London when I think I was 6. I'm still Irish. I always speak Irish at home with my mum and dad, and that's how I talk when I'm there. And whenever I go to Dublin, I'm like that. It's completely natural to me. And so I love, in fact, I'm going to Ireland next week to start a film. So it's part of my life, really. But I've been here since I was 6, so I'm only a pretend Englishman.
Do you feel more English or Irish?
I feel English now, to tell you the truth. I've been here all my life, and although I go back to Dublin a lot, I feel, of course I feel English, but I tell the Irish that I'm Irish. So.
Thank you. Can we go to the question, just sort of 2 rows in front of you. Thank you.
Shout.
You worked several times with Harold Pinter.
Yeah.
What was that like, and what was he
well,
like?
Harold was a strange man. I knew him very well and got to be a friend of his. He was great. He was a two-faced person. He would, when he got drunk, he would speak like that. When, but when he was with his wife, he was very like, they talk very poshly, like they go to the large house. So you never really knew where you were with Harold. And I went to his grave when he was buried, and we all read poems for him. I was firmly attached to him. I think he liked me. He gave me lots of work. I remember when he first got married, this posh house in London, I was having dinner at the table. This is just a thing about Harold. and I had my knife and fork, and he corrected me. He was sitting next to me. He said, "You're not holding your knife and fork properly, Michael." And I said, "Oh." So he gave me a little lesson in how to hold the knife and fork with these things like that. He was doing this, you know. He'd only just learnt it himself. And so he taught me how to hold my knife and fork. And that's a strong memory I have of Harold. I'll always keep that with me.
So that memory is stronger than the memories of working with him?
No, they're not really. But the memories of being with him and acting, his writing. He was a brilliant writer. And I was privileged to be in lots of his plays. Yeah, wonderful.
Who's the greatest writer or director that you've had the privilege of
working
with?
Well, I think Harold.
Really?
Harold, I really like it because he's so real and present and speaks his mind and is accurate, and he's a mate, and of course he's a favourite. Yeah.
We'll go to the question from the lady about 3 or 4 rows back on my left-hand side.
Hi, thank you for coming and talking with us today. Would you ever consider writing anything, or would you have ever considered writing anything?
No, never in my life. I can't write. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? But no, I wouldn't dream of it. It's like the last thing on the earth I'd do. I'd rather drive my car. No, I wouldn't write. But I love reading a good plays, good writing.
And fixing firearms.
Oh, you shouldn't mention that. I collect antique firearms. People look at me a bit funny when I say that. But they're all from the 17th century mainly. And so they're all old and not going to harm anyone, but they're very beautiful things, and I'm odd enough to collect them. That's all. Oh, no.
Thank you. I'll go to the question from the member on the back row by the door.
Thank you very much. And Gambon, it's a pleasure to see you in person and not on telly or film.
Thank you.
My question is, I saw you recently in a documentary playing Winston Churchill in his latter years, and I was blown away. Truthfully, I know you say adults lie. I'm telling the truth this time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Did you have to research into the role of Winston Churchill?
No.
Look at what he was like through the circle of friends he had at that time?
Just about 6 months ago, I had the privilege of playing Winston Churchill, directed by a friend of mine, and I was terrified. And so he got some of my best friends to be the other characters in the play, and it relaxed me. I've never enjoyed, it's the best thing I've ever done, I think. I really think it's the best acting I've ever done, and it seems to have disappeared a bit. It's a full story of the time when Winston Churchill had a stroke, didn't he? He had a stroke and couldn't speak, and he was brought back to life and ended up okay. But I did it about 6 months ago, and I think it's the best thing I've ever done. I sort of fell into it. I felt what it was like to be him, and all those things. And of course, we've all seen him all our lives. We've seen him. We see him all the time, so we know what he looks like. We know what he speaks like. And I tried my best to do all that. The speech, I tried to change it slightly so it wasn't. So it looked like someone trying to play him, but because I didn't want to be too obvious. And I think I longed for someone to ask me that question, because I just loved it. Thank you. Thank you.
How did you research the role?
I didn't. The director had done so much research into him that he just filled me with it. And so I got to realize what was going on. So, and I think I got through it quite well, really. And that's amazing. I'd forgotten all about it. It hasn't been seen so.
Thank you. And we'll go to the question from the lady just in front of you.
Hi, sorry, I was wondering if you had a process for getting to the minds of each character that you play, and how you transition from one role to the next. And if I may, a last question as well. If you had a favourite role out of all the ones that you've played?
What's to do with speaking or finding the character, isn't it?
Yeah, how do you get into a character?
Well,
and how do you switch between them?
I don't know. You get a script and you read it thoroughly, and it starts growing in you, and you can feel it, and you say a few lines, and you begin to make it part of you. Everything he says comes in, doesn't it? Everything the writer wants to be known out of this thing. So on it goes, and you just keep trying. Sometimes it's impossible. Some actors, certain actors, aren't suitable for certain parts. There are many I can't play. I can't think of them now. But when you land with someone that really, like Winston Churchill, when the part really hits you, and you think, I know this. I don't know how you do it. You just keep doing it over and over again till it sort of sinks in. And it's just a bit of luck, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Would that make any sense, all that shit?
When you go onto the set or when you're preparing to go out onto the theatre stage, do you have to spend a long time kind of getting into the role?
You do initially, on the first day of the performance at the National, say, on the first evening the tab go up, of course you're terrified, you all are, waiting backstage, but as the play goes on over the next few months, it gets easier and easier, and in the end you have more command of it. That's if it's made to suit you. If it's not right for you, then you won't have much chance. Anyway, that's all I know.
Thank you. We'll go to the question from the gentleman towards the back of the chamber on the left.
Thank you so much for your talk. So I'm wondering that for Harry Potter series, it lasted 6 or 7 years. So they say that on the last day of the set, a lot of the actors were quite emotional. So I'm asking you, how did you feel on the last day of the set, knowing that the character you have played for 7 years, this is the last time that you will be playing it?
Oh, it was terrible. We all got together backstage on the last night and got a bit tearful. It was sad breaking up. When you were with people for, well, I don't know, 8 years or something, you get very fond of them, and then it's all breaking up and disappearing, and you'll never see this again, and it's all gone. It was tear time. Bit of crying went on. Bit of thinking about, give me your telephone. We got each other's telephone numbers, and I haven't rung them yet. But that's how you feel, and you want to see everyone again because you've got so close to them. It's just sad. It happens in all plays, doesn't it? Like plays I've done in the West End where you're with a cast for 6 months and you maybe never see them again, and it's tough. You always say you will. You want to make where they live and all that. It's all rubbish, really. Anyway.
Thank you. We'll go to the question from the gentleman on the second row on my left.
Thank you very much for coming and for your talk. I was wondering if you'd noticed in drama any degree of sexism in terms of casting, in terms of the age of actors, in that there's been a lot of allegations, certainly around the BBC, around a lot of programs, a lot of dramas where older men are more willingly cast than older women.
I can't quite work that out. So tell me what.
Well, I think in summary, in the acting industry, you'll find that often a lot of older men are cast for roles, whereas older women perhaps aren't so much. And do you think that is sexism in acting a problem?
No, I mean, I don't think there should be any consideration of that sort of thing, do you? I mean, men and women play parts in films and plays with everyone else behind them. There's no... Is that in the question?
Yeah, and I suppose, do you think there's any problem of sexism in acting?
No, I've never run into sexism. No, I never have. Or maybe I couldn't see it, but I've never run into it. I don't think it's... I think in the theatre that I belong to, it doesn't happen. There's no sexism, is there really? I don't think. Or I might be wrong. Am I wrong? Speak up, please. Wrong. Am I wrong? Do you think there is?
Hey, like you were saying, that women don't get parts after a certain age where men do.
I see what you mean. Maybe you're right. No, so women don't get parts in old age as much as men do. Middle age. Well, if that's true, and it must be, it sounds true to me, it's shocking. Why don't the women get the parts?
That was the question.
I don't know the answer. I think it's outrageous.
I must say, it's very easy to persuade the greatest professor of the magical world ever to have lived.
Yeah, that's right, it's true.
Can we go to the question on the back row on my left, please?
I'll never hear it.
Thank you very much. One of the best television performances I've ever seen is you in The Singing Detective by Dennis Potter. And when I watched some of the interviews given by Dennis Potter, I noticed a lot of physical similarities between your performance and him, and I was just wondering whether you based your performance on him because he didn't think of it as autobiographical.
Yeah, well, I had to look like Dennis, and I had to have the hands. Dennis was in a terrible state. He was crucified. His back, his whole body, was his hands, where his fingers were stuck up in. I mean, he was terrible. And I copied all that in the film, the television play, and the way he walked. He had a hump. He couldn't walk very well. So I tried to copy all that in little stages as the filming went on. We shot it for 7 months. And there are points when he gradually gets better. Towards the end of the play, he gets better. So I listened to him all the time. He used to come and talk to me while I was lying on my bed in the hospital for those scenes. And he'd tell me the situation, and I'd mentally take it all in. And I did my very best just to give him what he wanted. So it's as simple as that, really. So you have to watch him all the time. Note how he walks, how he moves, what he does with his hands. His hands were really buckled into nothing. So that was I just responded to that and did it as best I could. I think it was all right. I remember there's a wonderful scene at the end where me and my wife leave, and he's now back feeling good. Anyway, that's all.
Thank you. The question on the front row.
He's right there.
Just want to make sure they can hear me. Arguably the three biggest names among the sort of younger generation of British actors, Tom Hiddleston, Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch, they're all privately educated. They all went to public schools, specifically 2 went to Eton, 1 went to Harrow. Do you think today acting and the opportunities in acting are reserved for the most privileged people?
No, I don't. I think I've thought about that. Those three guys, I know them all. It's just by accident, isn't it? It's nothing but, isn't that right? Do you agree? It's just by sheer instance that they've got those three actors going like that. I mean, it could well have been three, I don't know. I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it matters. Do you agree?
Oh, you're the expert.
Because you're one of those. You are. And I think that it doesn't really come into thoughts. It doesn't matter.
For the record, I'm not one of those. I went to a state school, but anyway.
Yeah, don't do that.
But they must have had opportunities which so many young people don't have. And I mean, what advice would you give to people who are trying to break into the acting world?
Well, I think now it's really difficult because there are so many actors, aren't there? Every city in England has a drama school. That was never the case before, was it? So drama schools are now all... Am I exaggerating, do you think?
No, I think that's probably fair.
They're all drama schools, and kids go to these places and they're queuing up to become actors, and I suppose I started a day when there weren't many people wanting to be actors. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen so many drama schools. I mean, there used to be the 4 in London, and that was it. So I think it's too many children being encouraged to try and do something that they could do better.
So do you think there should be fewer drama schools? People shouldn't be encouraged to act?
Yeah. Do you think they would be? Doesn't it encourage more children to want to become actors if there are, every city has a drama school in it? We would. Am I talking sense?
Well, isn't that a good thing, getting people involved? You love acting. Do you not want to see young people getting involved with acting?
But there are too many, aren't there? I mean, the work in drama in this little England we live in is not big enough to take it, is it? If it is, then of course, but I get the feeling it isn't. Which is so many children and young people are unemployed and no dosh, you know.
So do you think it's much harder for people nowadays to really make it as a
Yeah, I do.
successful
I really
actor?
do think. I think that's because of the growth and the number of schools. I do think that.
Interesting. We'll go back to the audience questions. Can we go to the lady in the red top, about 3 rows back?
Hi. I just wanted to ask, how did you decide you wanted to be an actor? And what would you be if you weren't an actor?
I started going to acting when I watched Marlon Brando in a film. And I saw this with a friend of mine. I was very young. And we then were walking down the street, which had an amateur theatre in it. And we looked through the doors, and there was acting going on. And my friend said to me, "That's what Marlon Brando has been doing." And I couldn't work it out. He said, "The one we've just seen in the film, Marlon Brando, he's doing that." I said, "Well, he's not in there doing it now, is he?" He said, "No, but that is called acting, and what he's doing is acting." And it set me off on this funny thing that I had. So I went to this little drama school, and which is in North London, and I started there. They let me do things. It was an amateur theatre with some professional actors up in Islington. And that's where I went, and I couldn't get rid of myself, and then finally I got away. Simple as that. Yeah.
You trained as an engineer, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Would you have been an engineer if you weren't an actor?
No, I wouldn't be, I don't think. The engineering was 6 years. It's a long time, isn't it? And by the time I got to the end of the 6 years, I wanted to be an actor. So.
Thank you. Can we go to the question right at the back, on the back row of the chamber?
Hi. So your image and acting style seems to make you equally able to play kind of, to put it simply, bad guy roles and good guy roles, whether it's the kind of ruthless gangster in Layer Cake or it's the wise professor from Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Do you personally have a preference between playing kind of evil or bad roles or being the good guy?
Well, I just like to get to do different things. If I get the opportunity to pick someone completely different the other way, I'll jump at it. It's just a matter of concentration and having the ability to make yourself become somebody else. It's just something I've learnt to do. I don't do it very well, but I mean, I'm constantly thinking about that. How the person talks, what their hair looks like, how they move, what they're thinking, what are they, what sort of life have they had, what life are they having, are they happy, are they crying, all those things. How do they walk, it's all to build, and then sometimes you can't get to that point you want to get to in the rehearsal room, or you just can't do it, and so you do your best, and very rarely it all comes out like a dream. I do try and change my acting considerably, depending on what it is. And you either hit the button or you don't, and there's not much you can do about it then. But I don't know what, I've been in some things in, say at the National Theatre, I've done plays which I've been terrible in, and you never forget it. It's like being in a nightmare. I've been through that process, and it's really hard, and you try your best, but you're just not right. And your confidence slithers away as the play goes on, as rehearsals come nearer, opening night comes nearer, and you just can't get it. And the director starts shouting at you. And I've been through this situation quite a few times, and it's just a matter of luck, I think, or the right choice of part, the right choice, or you've been chosen by the right man. That sounds a load of rubbish. I just can't explain what it's like.
Thank you. And the question on the press bench.
So in the Harry Potter films, who was your favourite person to work with and your least favourite person to work with?
Oh God, there was no least favourite, but Maggie Smith, I've known her for years, ever since I told her a lie when I was a little boy. I had to pick her up in Harry Potter. Do you remember that scene? There's a dance scene. And I had to pick her up like that during the dance, right up in there. And she used to give me a terrible time because as I let her go back, of course I touched her breasts. And she said, "If you did that again, I'll kill you." I said, Maggie, I can't bloody get you down. How can I get you down like that? She said, well, don't do it again. So I've always loved Maggie Smith, but at the same time, I've always been a bit frightened of her. You know what I mean? I have to tell you a story. When I was a boy, I got a part at the National Theatre, and I couldn't believe I was at the National Theatre, not speaking. And the first day, I arrived late in the rehearsal room, and the director shouted, "You're late." The second day, I was late, and I knew that he would throw me out for real. This is a terrible story. I climbed the stairs at the old Vic Theatre it was then, to the top story where we had the big rehearsal room. I walked into the rehearsal room, and as I walked in, I started crying and shaking. And Maggie Smith was there, and Maggie said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, my mother's just died. And she said, "What?" I said, She said, "What do you say?" I said, "My Mom's dead." Well, I mean, Jesus Christ, she grabbed me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, I had to come here because I got a rehearsal. And the director, who would have thrown me out, came up and said, "You go home." He said, "Go home this minute." He said, "How dare you leave your dead mother there?" So he said, "I don't want to see you for a month." I didn't even speak in the play. I just stood at the back with a help with a spear like that. That's all. For 4 hours, you know. I mean, you wouldn't want to stay there, would you? And he said, "I don't want to see you again for a month. Just go home." And I went home and told my mum. I told everyone that she died. and my mum just started to laugh. She didn't stop laughing for an hour. And that's a story. What was your question? What did you say to me?
Well, the question was, who is your favourite person you worked with in Harry Potter?
Oh, well, there you are. Oh, well, it's Maggie Smith, now and again. I wouldn't like to get too near her. She'd kill me. Maggie, I suppose.
Do you tell a lot of lies?
I don't. I exaggerate things. But the story about the being dead is true. Oh, I shouldn't have told you that, should I? Anyway, that's it.
So how much of what you told us tonight has been true?
I haven't told you any lies tonight. I don't think so. Maybe small fibs, but not lies, not big lies. I don't know.
That's good to know, thank you. We've got time for a couple more questions. We'll go to the gentleman in the grey top on the press bench.
Hi, thank you very much for coming. I'm wondering, has there ever been any specific character or perhaps historical figures that you always wanted to portray on stage or maybe in a film but you never had the chance to?
Can you repeat that, please?
Have there been any historical figures that you've wanted to portray?
No, not really. I've never felt... I've just played Churchill, I just told you that story, and I was... I didn't want to play it when he first approached me on it, and I thought I could never play that, but it just happened and I worked it out all right. No, I've played King Lear and Galileo and all those roles, and I don't really want to. Nobody, anyone else I wanted to play, didn't think.
Thank you. The question on the front row.
Thanks. It's another question about Harry Potter, I'm afraid. You worked a lot with J.K. Rowling, and obviously you spent 7 or 8 years working on Harry Potter. And there's been a lot of media controversy recently over the casting of a black actress to play Hermione Granger in the stage production of Harry Potter. I was just wondering what your view on that is.
Well, I just think it's all... My view is, it doesn't matter what colour you are, does it? I mean, just because of a black actress and they want to play, it doesn't matter. You forget it in 5 minutes, wouldn't you? When the tabs go up on the play, the person who's in it talking does all that, and you soon forget about it. Or what colour they are, for God's sake. It's nonsense, isn't it? It's so annoying that it's being judged by colour. It's a load of bollocks. It doesn't matter what colour you are, does it?
A similar discussion has been whether Idris Elba should be the next James Bond. Do you think he should be?
Well, yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he? He's all right. I don't care if he plays James... If Idris Elba plays James Bond, he plays James Bond, doesn't he? So that's it. Boom, stopped. And there's James Bond, and it's running, and it's all playing, and you think, oh, that's brilliant. I think you go. Forget it.
Thank you.
Oh, God, sorry, I wasn't very good tonight talking to you. No.
I think it's been wonderful.
Oh, God.
I think that's all we have time for, though, this evening, I'm afraid. So could you please remain in your seats whilst we leave and join me in thanking, once again, Sir Michael Gambon.